Okay, greetings from Paradise in Cargès, 2024. My name is Dani. I'm a professor at the University of Nevada, Reno. Previously I was a professor at ETH Zurich. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the role of capillarity in the behavior and the functioning of the critical zone, soil, and the vadose zone. These overlapping compartments, soil, critical zone, and vadose zone, are where life happens on the planet. These are the zones where water from rainfall meets the rocks, the soil, meets the air from the atmosphere, and all the exchanges in between that support the growth of plants, trees, and bacteria in this richest compartment of the biosphere. We care about the state of this region. When I say air, water, and rock, I'm already pointing to the fact that this region is largely unsaturated, which means we have the existence of the three phases, and those are critical for life, and that's why you hear the term critical zone or soil being the living skin of the earth and things of that nature. So in this lecture we'll talk about how these interactions are characterized by special behavior of the air-water interfaces, adsorption of water to surfaces, and how these interfacial phenomena give rise to special state of the water in which water imbibes spontaneously into the soil and being kept there. You know, why water is not falling to the core of the earth, or why water is hanging there long enough for vegetation to take it up during the long dry summers of the Mediterranean and things of that nature. So we talk about the characteristics of this capillary phenomena, which is the onset of curved interfaces in the soils of the water and air in the soil that are anchored on the grain surfaces. We characterize them based on the pore sizes of the soil, on the surface area of the soil. So we talked about concepts such as surface tension. We talked about the contact angle that is formed between a droplet that you put on the soil surface and between the air and water and the solid and water. So this contact angle is important because it defines how wettable or non-wettable is the surface. And once you fold this droplet into a tube, you give rise to magic, and that's the capillary rise phenomena, in which water spontaneously rises through these pores or analogs of these pores, and that's glass tubes that we use in experiments. So we build models of this capillary rise both in terms of static conditions as well as dynamics, how quickly water is being pulled into these capillaries. And it gave rise to very interesting phenomena that, for example, these jumps or these little pistons that take place at the fronts of wetting or the fronts of drainage that are completely unexpected from the viscous flow that you'd expect based on Darcy or Richards-Darcy equation. We then talked about the collective behavior of these interfaces in giving rise to the soil water characteristic curve, which relate the amount of water held in soil to the amount of energy that you're required to remove that water from soil. For us, it's a theoretical calculation, but for the average plant, this is their everyday life. They have to actually pull water against that force. And that gives rise, in some extreme cases, to water stress, because plants cannot exert enough force to pull that water from the soil. And so we talked about that, how do we represent this soil-water characteristic or the relationships. Talked about the Genuchten model, the Brooks and Corey model. And finally, I spent some time talking about adsorption of water on soil surfaces and using it to characterize the dry end of the soil water characteristics, but also to invert it on its head and actually estimate from the amount of water we have in a dry end of the characteristic curve the amount of surface area accessible to that water. I did not spend too much time on the ramifications of this hydrology or understanding of our microhydrology on bacterial life in soil, but in the lecture notes that I share with the group here, we have some aspects that tell us that life in soils is limited to a very narrow range of vapor pressure, something between, by the time you have a vapor pressure or relative humidity of 95%, life is already stopped existing in soil. Bacteria cannot respire, fungi are already stalled and stuff like that. We also talked about the fact that when we have unsaturated conditions, the aquatic habitat in the soil are highly fragmented, and that defines both that explains the capacity of the soil to maintain high levels of diversity, because neighborhoods are not connected and species can coexist even though they cannot compete when they are very well mixed. So this I did not talk about, and the other thing I did not have time to present in the formal talk was the mechanics of these air-water interfaces and how they allow us to take kind of a pile of loose sand and convert it to these beautiful sand castles that we see on a beach when we build them, and other phenomena related to that. So that's basically the presentation I gave. The thematic is the capillary processes, but I did not limit it to capillarity. I have adsorption in it. And the other theme here was the fact that when you have air, water, and rocks coexisting, they give rise, or they provide the ideal environment for life to develop on this skin of the earth. Thank you.